we believe that in this remarkable age, AI isn't the main character. You are. While the tech is racing ahead, it's the humans who learn to harness AI mindfully that will win. Each week, we meet remarkable people doing just that. Join Kyle Shannon, tech leader and AI instigator, and Ann Murphy, fundraiser and AI consultant, as they lead the conversation about staying grounded, growing smarter, and leading with what makes us human.
There we go. What's that? Ann Murphy, you don't look the same at all.
I recognize that
so
song.
Much work. Welcome to the AI Readiness Project podcast. We have a special co-host today, Kelly Anderson. Chef Kelly, great to see you.
Good to see you too. I apologize if my camera freezes up. I'm trying to be as easy stream as possible. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think that's on you. It's on, your internet provider, your Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi provider.
Verizon, what for? Yeah.
Welcome. I want to jump in and sort of hear where you are. You're doing all sorts of cool stuff with AI, but why don't you, since you're a guest host here and people don't know you, you're not a household name yet. We're working on that. Not yet. Why don't you tell the good people who you are and what you got going on?
What I got going on. So, hello everybody. My name is Chef Kelly. I am sort of an ex-big food chef. I've worked for some of the world's largest food brands, including Nestle and Disney Studios. And I left my cushy job at Nestle in 2024 to pursue this little thing called AI. I wasn't really sure how it was going to affect the food industry and sustainability, but I knew it was gonna. And so I went and I joined a little cohort at MIT for machine learning and data science. And 6 months later, I had a little certificate and I didn't really know what I was gonna do with it. I had a couple weeks of
You got your MIT certificate. What? You got your MIT certificate. It's so good.
And so I had severe imposter syndrome for a little while. And then about this time last year, the FDA and the HHS announced that they were going to mandate that all U.S. food products in the United States have to be artificial dye-free by the end of 2027. And I was just very curious about what that would look like and, what kind of natural dyes are on the market and, what crops support that and how they're processed. And I just started researching and aggregating data on it. And I think I was in Claude one night and Claude was like, you should really turn this into a database and try to sell it to the food industry. And so it just, from there, it just skyrocketed. And I there's not a lot of, parts per million or scientific data on the FDA public website. So we had to go to the corners of the earth with, through like the World Health Organization and really gather all that data, clean it. I have an algorithm that I have a provisional patent out on. And so now it is called Dye Converter, and it catalogs every SKU in the United States that is certified by the FDA for sale natural. And it can help, convert those old synthetic dyes like your red 40s and blue ones and show you exactly what's on the market and what those different scientific conversions will be and your cost per gram and blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to really just help R&D teams get there faster.
But usually that's what you did, right?
That's what I did. So I was in innovation and R&D for Nestle before I left, for plant-based, really. So I just want to be able, for the small and medium-sized companies to be able to compete and get their cleaner label reform going and get out on the market sooner. I know it's kind of boring, but I care about it.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, listen, I think that the challenge with, saying I'm going to do AI, today is like AI is so pervasive and it's going to affect so many things. That's like saying I'm going to do the internet, right? It's like the internet's just everywhere. You don't do the internet. You do what you do, and you happen to do it on the internet. I feel like AI is going to be the same way.
I agree.
So how long ago was it when you left Nestle, or when you decided to take the jump and do your MIT?
I left Nestle in this time, like it was March 30th, 2024. And then I joined the MIT cohort in the summer of 2024. I graduated in early spring 2025. And then I didn't start the die converter thing till about August of last year. So I've just been slowly working on it ever since.
And what made you jump ship? Were you just done with your big corporate career, or was AI calling you? Like, what was it that made you go, I'm stepping out and I'm going to go learn something I ain't never done before? Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, Nestle's a big company, and I was really curious about it. And I knew that I knew that Nestle was working on some sort of AI thing, and it's released now, so it's no big deal. But like, I was like, put me in coach. And they were like, no, we're not going to put a coach in our AI development division. And so I just took a risk on myself, and I was like, there's just no other time. And I felt like, it's like, I hate, it sounds so cheesy, but like, I saw the possibility. I know I can get really Pollyanna about it, but I just had that moment where I just felt tapped on the shoulder. That was like, you better do this, and don't let anybody stop you, and don't let anybody laugh at you, and because my family's like, what? They can't.
Yeah.
But I tell people, it's like, if you could go back in time and put like $1,000 on this little company called Macintosh. It's kind of like that. I felt like this was my moment to really get in there and see what this was all about. So,
And catch me up between so you get your certificate at MIT. I assume there you're learning about machine learning and models and weights. I assume it was very technical. I'm assuming
it was very technical. I wasn't learning prompts. We weren't learning how to generate videos and images. It was under the hood, and it was
you're learning data science, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of it's for data science solutions. So I'm not a data scientist, but like it really was like, I didn't have to learn the algorithms, but I had to learn what they meant and what they did, and and bootstrapping and training and all that stuff, and fine tuning models. And I really, when I came out and everyone is getting like Joy Purdy and her beautiful videos, and I'm like, all I know is like the carburetor, like under the and but it's come full circle. That's like, as all those toys come in and out and go so fast, having that foundational knowledge has been just really wonderful for me to know. It grounds me a little bit. Like, I understand how models work,
you understand what's happening there. And what was that transition like? So between, like, I know once you started vibe coding and you made the tool that you've got, but like, did you start playing with Midjourney and with video stuff? Did you like, how many rabbit holes did you run down? Like, what was that process like?
I've run down so many, and I think that I did get distracted for a long time by like all the noise and the toys. Okay, so I do have to credit like Matt Wolf, who basically put me on to AI early on. And I remember somebody once showed me Midjourney very early on, and I was like, that's like for Dungeons and Dragons. It's like all forests and like everyone's doing all fairies, because it was very
it was very D&D early on.
It was, right? Yeah. And then I was like, I really dug like HeyGen and 11 Labs. I was a very early adopter of 11 Labs because I understood how great voiceovers could be, and I really wanted. I remember when I created that little animated version of myself. I dug that, but that was just a blip, But I did. I went down the rabbit holes of should I have an avatar clone of myself? Should I try to do YouTube videos? And I just said, just stick with what you know. Descript is a great tool to edit your stuff, and 11 Labs, and of course Midjourney, and I'm loving Claude Code right now. And so I just I kind of stick with the basics, the meat and potatoes kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you're sticking with the stuff that you know. But I mean, I think you and I were talking before the show. I think there's a really interesting path that you're exploring, which is, now that you're out on your own, what is your brand? Do you represent your brand with an avatar? Do you put yourself front and center, right? Is it about the tool? Is it about you? I mean, I think that's fascinating. We've got, Ben's coming up, and he's, he and I have worked together ages ago, but he's been doing a lot of this, stuff in the advertising space for years and years and years. So, what are you learning on that front? Like, what are you exploring? What's working? What's not?
Well, I have to say I couldn't be more pleased that Ben is our guest today, because I mean it's a little bit of kismet that I'm just in that spot where I really need to fine tune, my message behind 𝗕𝗲, because I've kind of got a lot of plates spinning in the air. I have Future of Food, which is my advisory firm, so I can consult brands on all kinds of things, right? But I really want to focus on, AI readiness and, making sure the integrations are good, the human in the loop theory, all that stuff, right? And so I can be me in that. I can talk about, I love clean label, I can help you get your CPGs, your portfolio sort of reformed and blah, 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 blah. But then I'm suddenly over here, I'm a female tech founder, which I've never done before, and it's a whole set of rules. And, how do I pitch to investors or fundraise, or, are the rules the same as far as social media goes? Do I hide behind the brand and let the brand stand for itself, or do I come out and be the face of the brand? It's deep B2B. I mean, it's deep B2B.
𝗕𝗲, you're talking to people deep in corporations, right? That's who you're selling to.
Yeah. And so it's like my ICP is the frustrated R&D person, if they even have one, the frustrated maybe chef that's on staff, or the CEO that does all their, formulas and recipes and tweaking. I could come at it from that point of view. Like, where do I even start? How do I even switch to natural? How much is going to cost me? What's my ROI going to be? And how long is that going to take? I can talk to that. But I don't know how to talk to the C-suite that goes, well, we've got 14 SKUs that we need to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just don't know how to talk to that customer.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah. And I suppose if you do the branding right, like, that'll do some of the talking for you, but I guess it depends on where's the heavy lift, right? Do you do the heavy lift in the C-suite, or do you do the heavy lift on the branding side, the marketing side? Talk to me a little bit about you. You made that character. If no one's seen it, I don't know if people can still find it, but you made a version of yourself that's like a sort of Pixar 3D character that talks about natural colorings and things like that, as I recall. I personally thought it was incredibly well done. Like, it was well written, it was well executed. I'm just curious, what have you done with that? Have you gotten any response to that? Do you want to carry that further?
Well, I think at first, like at the very beginning, when I was I was using AI as a research tool even before I went and got certified, and it was unbelievable to me how, because I used to be a journalist, like way back in the day before I became a chef, and the stuff that used to take me days or weeks to research and sort through, and remember at Yahoo, and you do page after page after page, and you'd think you'd click on the link, and oh no, you'd have to go back. And AI changed the way that you could just research super quickly, if you did it right.
Yeah.
And I just found that I was uncovering a lot of just stuff about my industry that I wasn't super duper happy about. And I had sort of been shielded because I'd worked in plant-based or vegan or organic divisions of these companies. So I was like, everybody's this clean, right? And no, they're not. And so I came out really, really mad. And I wanted to say my truth, but I didn't really want to say it as me. So I wanted to sort of hide behind a character at first. And everybody I knew was like, it's cute and all, but like, you need to be yourself. And so I think that identity crisis happened for a while. But when I did decide to move forward with 𝗕𝗲, I said, this is the perfect opportunity to use this character to tell people why I'm so gung-ho about clean color. And this 2-minute video outlines, how it's a petrochemical. It's made in the same, silos as gasoline, and it's a biohazard, and it creates this toxic waste in our environment, and nobody really knows how safe and at what dose it is for us. And there's just been a lot of passing in the buck for the last 40 years. And so that's why I am for this clean color movement, right? And it served its purpose, and I'll reemerge with that video every once in a while just to remind people of my space. But I haven't pursued it anymore. You know, she's definitely more of a B2C kind of character, I think. I'm not so sure she can fly with the B2B. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And how did you create it? Like, what was the learning curve to go from I make food to I'm an
educator? I must have gone through 3,000 iterations in like major, like, do you remember when like ChatGPT wouldn't let you put a picture of yourself in there? It was like, no, do not. You know, so I had to describe myself in like great detail. And then I think, you know, through Midjourney and ChatGPT finally, but who was the other one that I was using a lot? I can't remember. Before ideogram. But I just went over and over until finally I had found one that I really liked. And I was like, bingo. And right about that time, HeyGen would allow you to input a non-human image of yourself, like a cartoon. And that was the easiest part, was animating her. It was like a year and a half of trying to get a cartoon that looked like me, you know?
Yeah,
it was easy after that. It was little 11 labs and HeyGen 30-second increments, and then I spliced in some real footage, and voila.
Yeah, it was quite good. It was quite good. No,
we'll put it in the description for anybody who wants to watch it later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where can people find it? Is it on YouTube?
I think it's on YouTube somewhere, but I'll drop it in here.
Okay, drop in the comments.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. What so where are you today? Where's your head today with all this AI stuff? You keeping up with it? Are you overwhelmed? Are you is it now just about raising money for dye converter? What's going on with you today mentally with AI?
Yeah, so I've noticed on LinkedIn, I created right around the beginning of the year a newsletter called AI Food Lab. And that has been pretty popular. I've gotten not a lot, but I mean, good amount of subscriptions in a short amount of time and good readership as well. So I definitely see that there is a need for somebody who's got the industry experience to explain what AI is doing in the food industry, its implementation and why it's there, and the pitfalls, the successes, right? And I've had this MVP with Dye Converter done for about 3 months. I've made some very minor changes. I just redid my website, but everybody I talked to was like, stop tweaking it because it'll never be perfect, right? Yep. So it is an MVP, start shopping it around, start meeting people and getting names and taking meetings. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. Everybody I talk to has been so great, very interested. I've never had anybody go, oh, that's a stupid idea. You know, because it's a deadline and a captive audience. That's like an investor's dream. But I need an injection of cash, so I need some funding in order for it to fly. And I need an engineer, I need a developer who can take it from here, because I'm too slow at what needs to be done next, right? And getting the bugs out and making sure that the server is secure and can continue to clean the data and aggregate it and so on and so forth. Yep. So yeah, I've been going to a lot of trade shows and taking a lot of meetings. I'll be in San Francisco next week for the Future of Food Tech. I've submitted to a couple like pitch fests or pitch slams, whatever they're called. And so I'll have a few of those soon. I'm running with the Gen Zers.
Yeah, really. Is this your first startup? So you just went from full-on corporate America to screw it.
I was like, watch out, everybody.
That's wild. Well, listen, kudos to you, because I think kudos to you for choosing it, because I think one of the things that has been striking me is that if you choose to be an entrepreneur, you know, we'll talk to Ben about this. He wasn't an entrepreneur for a while, and now he is. He was telling me before. It's a lot. Choosing to be an entrepreneur is, you kind of have to be a bit of a sociopath. So congratulations for joining the club. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be forced into entrepreneurship, right? There's going to be a lot of job disruption, and it's going to be a lot of people where the job gets disrupted and there's not an industry for them to go back into, right? In your case, there is one, but some of these jobs are just going to, the entire sector is going to be wiped, right? Or, decimated. And so, you're learning early what a lot of people are going to probably be facing of like, how do I do that? How do I take a meeting? How do I become a female founder? How do I become a founder? How do I raise money? All that sort of stuff. So absolutely fascinating. Well, this is good. Well, let's get Ben up here. Let me talk a little bit about some other things here. So if you don't know, 𝗕𝗲, who's not here today. Oh, by the way, Anne is out. She's out giving speeches. She's traveling the country right now. I just saw, a TikTok video of her, giving a speech yesterday or the day before. So she's out doing that stuff. She's the founder and the leader of 𝗕𝗲_AI, which if you're a woman in AI, if you're a woman in tech, if you're just a woman curious about what the hell is going on with everything, Chef Kelly, I think that's how you came to this community, right? Is through 𝗕𝗲AI. So go check out 𝗕𝗲AI.ai. They've got a bunch of new programs that are launching. I think this month or next, like big, meaty, get certifications, get yourself out there as a professional. So 𝗕𝗲AI is really, really good. Very powerful.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, please.
It is the best female AI community out there. It's so supportive. It's some of the best women I've ever met. If you are curious, you don't know where to start, if you're nervous, if everybody thinks you're crazy, you want to give it a shot, this is the community for you. I just want you to.
That's the crazy thing. Yeah, Kelly, could you not talk about AI at dinner tonight? Exactly. Right? Yeah, exactly. Get yourself in community. So 𝗕𝗲 is a great one. And then the community that I started the week ChatGPT came out is the AI Salon. And the AI Salon is a remarkably generous community. It's a community of smart people, passionate people, but for me, most importantly, they're generous. They're willing to share what they learn. I mean, you've done that already, shared what you learn, vibe coding and things like that.
But your Saturday LOLs and Brandon's life hacks and your Friday office hours, and I could go on and on and on. It is nonstop, high class, quality education.
It really is. And it's, it's quality education from people that, for the most part are not being paid to do that. They're really just sharing what they're learning, because for me, there's a recognition in the AI Salon that, that things are changing so fast. Nobody knows there are no real experts right now. And so, so that's what this is. And we've got the mastermind within there, which is if you want to level up your game and start a daily practice, which is wild. The people in the mastermind practice to a person are kind of slowing down and like rediscovering arts and crafts and dirt, and they're balancing AI with the analog world. It's wild. It's really good. So anyway, so I'm really excited. Our guest today is one Ben Jones. I know Ben for many, many years. He's probably got stories to tell. But Ben is with Sundogs, and let's get Ben up here. Ben Jones.
Hello, friends. How are you?
Good to see you, sir. Why don't you tell the fine people who you are and what you're doing in this world and where you've come from? And
wow.
Don't share anything you know about me, because there's too much.
The podcast is 4 hours long. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're all old enough now that we've got too many stories to tell.
I'm Ben Jones. I'm the founder and CEO of Sundogs. Sundogs is a platform that ingests and diagnoses video at scale. So what's happening inside, how creative stories are told, how brands are represented, how people interact. We do ads, we do creator content, and we're exploring answer engine optimization, which is shifting from text into video. And I got here because I was Google's global creative director for a decade, doing all their creative effectiveness research. So we had a wonderful seat to sit on, which was 1.5 billion hours a day of watch time, millions of advertiser campaigns, and the opportunity to experiment with these brands on not just what showed up in work, but then what happened when you changed ads and put them in market. How do movie trailers change? How do CPG ads change? We did a ton of work with your friends at Nestle. And so it was a great chance to play around. In fact, one of my most favorite experiments ever was with Nestle. We were working with a professor from BYU, and he had done this research where he put radio ads. He had tested radio ads, and the goal was multisensory input. And so if you had a radio ad that had only appealed to one sense, you had one reaction. You had multiple senses in the words of a radio ad, you got a stronger reaction. But the way he figured it out was he would put cotton balls in people's mouths, have them listen to radio ads, and then if you salivated at a higher rate, cotton balls, weigh them. He figured out that there was this sensory input increase. So I was fascinated by this, of course. So I was like, well, let's do it. Let's find out if you can do the same thing at scale in the wild on YouTube. So we invented a brand called Dr. Fork, and we did a whole series of experiments on multisensory input. And doggone it, he was right. It worked. Yep. Multisensory input was more powerful. The copy appealing to multiple senses was more powerful. But we also found out all this other kinds of stuff. So anyway, a long career of experiment and research and education inside of Google. And then 2 years ago, I spun out with Google's blessing to do the same thing that we've done at YouTube across all forms of video: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, CTV, creator content. If it's important to clients, it's important to us. And we still do a ton of work with Google and Google clients. They're great participants, but we're a little tiny potato now, trying to figure it out outside the walls.
Yeah. How are you? Talk about. So a couple of things. You jumped from a decade in Google, right? You've had a day job for a while, and you jumped out on your own. You thought, I can do this. This is easy. Like, talk about starting up a thing, and then also talk about starting up a thing while AI is rewriting what's possible while you're starting up that thing. Like, what's it been like for you after decades behind the firewall to sort of jump out on your own?
Well, so we had this business inside of Google where we were working with these major brands and doing this research. And as Google pivoted to AI, they basically said, hey, we want you to focus on research, do AI, feed the machine. And I thought, but clients need more help than this. And we're just scratching the surface of this video problem. I never imagined, all the time I was at Google, I could never imagine leaving. I was like, there are worlds inside of worlds here. I'll stay here forever. It'll be amazing. People are amazing. It is an incredible, incredible place. But at that juncture, I thought there's as much to learn outside as there is inside, and I'm in love with this problem. That was the motivating factor for me. I love this problem. I'm fascinated by it. I look at 1,000 videos in a row, which sounds bone-crushingly dull, especially if they're ads. But interesting stuff always comes out, and so another 1,000, millions of ads later. I still am fascinated by what patterns come out and what it shows about people, how they react emotionally and rationally, and so it's a storytelling problem for me. But bootstrap startups not for the faint of heart. I will say it has been. I have a great partner, amazing team, but trying to figure out that all of the things I don't know and the raw pieces of like, are we going to make payroll this month? We made payroll this month. Okay, great. Raising money, Chef Kelly, same as you. How do we go through fundraising? My partner was a successful entrepreneur, had raised before, had an exit. And so, he had a track record for all that kind of stuff, but it's really, 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 really hard. And the amount of stuff that you don't know is incredibly, incredibly hard. I mean, I'd never been a CEO before. And so, I think that's a place where AI has helped me. Like, imagine that you're a CEO and that things. reminds me of a time I was a single dad of a young girl, and I subscribed to Real Simple magazine. and it would say, like, here's how the best way to spring clean your closets. And I'd be like, I guess I should spring clean closets. Like, it was like very fundamental. How do you know to even do a thing? Because there was an article real simple about it. So, fast forward a decade or two. So AI is that for me. It's the other half of the brain that I never developed to be a CEO.
Beautiful, amazing, Chef Kelly. So talk to Ben about like where you are, what you're doing, and you said
I completely concur. It's like, just when you're learning AI, which is enough, it's enough input as it is. And then to learn on top of that, like all the other skills that you need to learn to be an entrepreneur or to talk to investors or, all whatever that for me, it's do I run ads? Do I try to get organic engagement? And I was telling Kyle about this earlier. It's like the personal brand. Okay. So you talked about storytelling. So let's kind of start there. I started noticing the personal brand probably 2023. I did. When I started seeing, life coaches and like mindset coaches, like the Brene Browns and the Tony Robbins, coming out with these personal branding techniques, which was rooted in a lot of storytelling or origin story, right? So I see that as useful for a very light B2B or B2C. But for somebody like me, who's deep in the B2B, how do you personal brand and I know you're supposed to talk to your customer, but it's a dry conversation and you want to inject some of yourself in there, but not too much. It's a very fine line to walk. So I don't know if maybe you want to talk about that a little bit.
For me, it's that enthusiasm for the problem. I am uncomfortable putting myself forward. I didn't want the company to be about me. I wanted it to be about this idea. I've hired a super talented team. I want them to be stars. I don't want to be a star. But part of that is putting out what we think and how we look at the world and what's interesting to us. And I think for an introvert like me, like that's uncomfortable. How am I putting myself out there? I don't want to have my face on video all the time. Like I get sick of it. God knows I don't want to hear the sound of my own voice. And so I've tried to find the places where, that enthusiasm and the passion that I have and the knowledge that my team brings out comes out. And so, like LinkedIn, I write fuck yes out of the day. I have a little series of like, fuck yes out of the day. I love this trailer. Here's the thing that I love. And because I'm excited about it and enthusiastic about it in a specific way that shows, maybe I've watched 10,000 movie trailers, then I think that comes out. And, you begin to build an expertise and be known for something. And then when you have actual news or, my team publishes a research paper, we got featured in Forbes recently for work that we've done on creators for L'Oreal, then, people are like, oh, I see the connection here. You're digging into this stuff all the time and you're finding stuff and it's out there. So, but trying to figure out the balance of, how do I spend my time? Am I working on client work? Am I prospecting new clients? Am I, am I connecting to current clients? Am I doing marketing? Am I hiring people? All of that stuff is it feels pretty obvious when you're in a big org and, you have a set of OKRs and you're like, oh, I got to do this and that and this. But when it's you at the desk, what's your next best hour? God knows. I got 10,000 hours for the next hour and it's hard to figure out what's next.
That's so true. Yeah.
40 to-dos. How about, I assume in those millions of videos that you've watched over the years, a lot of that was people successfully establishing their personal brand, unsuccessfully establishing their personal brand. Like I'm sure you've seen train wrecks. I'm sure you've seen train wrecks that have worked. Can you just share insight about what you've learned on that front? Like what works, what doesn't? Like what are the commonalities?
Sure. The interesting thing, let me talk about creators for a second, because that's a sort of personal brand piece as opposed to advertising. Creators are speaking a new language. They have permission to have a conversation with consumers that brands don't have. And for a lot of times people like sort of buried that under the idea of authenticity. Like, oh, it's authentic. What does that mean? Does it mean me, down the barrel to the camera? Does it, am I swearing? Like, is it my tonality? And so in analyzing, 12,000 ads globally for L'Oreal, we found some of the pieces of that, which were really interesting. One of those is cognitive load. So how much am I asking you to process versus how much value am I giving you? And if you think about a Verizon ad, right? I've got one shot of a living room of people and a second shot of a character and a third shot of a character. And it's, for some reason, Jeff Bridges and Zoe Saldana and her husband, and they're in her living room. And then they're somehow talking about Verizon. And just the variety of shots and the variety of decoding you need to do is very high. It's a high cognitive load of different shots and the characters and dialogue. And it's a 15-second Verizon spot about, their service. So it's very low information nutrition and very high cognitive load. Ads do that. Creators, on the other hand, it's a creator down the barrel. Most of them are not, doing multiple setups and shots. They're talking directly to camera. So it's a low cognitive load and a high information value. They are saying a lot. You're getting a lot out of it. And so it's much more nutritional. I'll use a Chef Kelly. I'm going to use a weird metaphor here for you. Much less work, much more value. So that's one. Two, they use a much greater emotional range than is available in ads. So creators who have much higher intensity emotions and much more positive emotions because they're naturally enthusiastic has a much greater impact. But you can't do that in an ad because it feels artificial. It feels like a performance and it's over the top and it loses power. So they have this emotional range that is available to them that is not available to brands. So that's a second sort of dimension of authenticity. And a third is they have a more intimate visual language. So we were looking at beauty ads, and we had a spectrum that we had coded of full body shot, sort of mid body shot, and close up. And we were analyzing all these ads based on that. And we found inside of the creator ads, there was another even closer shot that you couldn't really do. It was an extreme close up, sort of like this. And people are, don't look at my skin, but like that. And the creators who used it had a significantly higher engagement rate, brand impact, et cetera, et cetera. So they had a visual intimacy that you could not get in an ad. And so those are all things, that's a language, right? And creators speak this language. And if you learn to speak that language, then you have access to a different, more intimate kind of relationship with people than brands can come out in scripted content. So just some cues of how people are creating intimacy and what authenticity actually means underneath.
I want to ask you a follow-up question on the L'Oreal thing, because that's a subsidiary of Nestle as well. And I think that the Forbes headline, didn't it say like they had to unlearn advertising in order to learn it again? So can you tell me about what that process looked like?
Sure. So many brands have a set of best practices, and the best practices are meant to, prevent mistakes and increase the quality of ads overall. But the language that was used from the ads world when applied to creators made boring creator content. So the more they brought those best practices over from ads and they said, oh, you need to talk about the product in this way, you need to mention the brand this many times, you need to use this scientific language because that's the claims that we have. All of those things dampened the response of creators. And so the strategy that L'Oreal ultimately landed on, which is fantastic, was rewilding. That is, don't put the constraints of ads onto creators, focus on their ability to drive engagement rate as they present the products, but give them much more freedom to do that, and then reward higher engagement rates however they get there.
Right.
And so as they rewild it, as they unlearned the best practices, it opened up this storytelling, which in a world where we're saturated, FYI, with tons of stories and tons of AI slop is coming, that's all going to adhere to best practices.
Right.
You have to find that new territory. And so this idea of rewilding, we're really excited about, because that floor is coming rocketing upwards. And what AI is really good at is pattern recognition and repetition. So everyone is going to be good at that soon. And the only new territory is a thing that is effective but rare. So finding your way to that is going to be key to the next generation of good storytelling.
Yeah. Can I ask one follow-up? Unless Cal wants to go. I just wondered if those creator generated or if those creator videos, were they UGC creators where they were paid to, say, okay, guys, I want to tell you about this new product I have? Or were they creators that you had created sponsorships and relationships with that would every once in a while talk, maybe sponsored, like, okay, guys, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna tell you about this new L'Oreal. You guys know that I work for them and they're sponsored, I endorse them. How are you guys approaching that? Because my daughter is Gen Z, and it's like this. They find out that like their favorite creator, who they understand has to sometimes break for a commercial or talk to you about the new product that they're being sponsored to promote. But if they find out that they really don't use that product, that they're just being paid to say they do, oh, it's on. You know what I mean? Like, forget it. And so I wonder how you guys approach that with a huge company like that to have that authenticity.
Yeah. So we were looking at creators of all sizes, 12,000 videos. There are, giant creators who are much more like celebrities, down to nano creators who had very small audiences. And part of the work that we did was a portfolio strategy to say how many creators at each level to create which kind of impacts. But what was interesting in that is the formats. Like many companies have best practices around formats, right? Oh, we're going to do a product review. Okay, so here's the product and I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to talk about its benefits and features, whatever. We found, again, through scaled analysis, format is not a driver of impact. So telling creators that they have to do a product review or they have to do a get ready with me or they have to do a beauty tutorial does not more effectively sell the product. And turning that off and saying, tell the story how you want to tell it, but we want to see engagement rate high and we want to see these brand metrics, these conversion metrics, and sharing that data with creators so they know, like, oh, my audience really responded to this, and FYI, it sold. That's going to get much better results than saying, we want you to do a beauty tutorial. So the authenticity of creators around the products that they present, there's an interesting finding in that also. Creators have the ability to talk negatively and positively about products in ways that brands don't. And that's a positive. That's a contributor of authenticity. So they say, well, I've got this, hand cream and it's not great if my hands are super dry, but it's really good if I just want to and that kind of nuanced presentation of product where people are like, I'm getting the straight dope, essentially.
It's a trust thing, right? Yeah. Can you talk to me? I agree. I think that I'm saying this a lot, that, people are talking about AI slop and it's like, the bottom's down here and the bottom's about to come up here, just like you said. What do you think are going to be the things that, so the fact that the bottom's higher doesn't mean anything. It just means that's now the bottom, right? Like, what do you think are the keys to rising above that?
I mean, I think the thing that is going to be revealed about all of us is who has a genuine story to tell. If everyone can tell a story in a super great way, who genuinely is interesting, genuinely is fresh, genuinely is new, because we're going to be able to imitate everything else.
Right.
There was just a fantastic essay posted this morning about that, and it was about the difference between taste and style. Taste is a source of friction, and it is not fast, and it is not accepted. And anyone can imitate style, but no one can imitate taste. So I think that AI is going to, it used to be a massive differentiator. If you were a brand who had the money to put on a beautiful production and shoot a product in a certain way, other brands couldn't afford it. So immediately there was a perception of premiumness. Now any brand can do that. So that premiumness needs to come from someplace else, or authenticity, or, what's the advantage of being big is the question that a lot of my clients are asking.
Do you think authenticity is the new, do you think value of authenticity goes up dramatically?
Well, I think what we're seeing is the sort of aesthetics of a coded creator authenticity are being imitated ferociously quickly.
Right.
I'm down the barrel. I'm going to give you the straight dope, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And what's emerging, I think, instead of that is creators who have a genuine connection to their audience and their authenticity, which is a direct connection to the audience, not a style, not an aesthetic, but their genuineness. Chef Kelly, to your point about your daughters, they trust a voice. They want to hear that voice. They want to believe that that voice is telling them a thing that they, then can put some emotional value into. So it's not a style, not an aesthetic. I think that language is changing really, really rapidly. And it's fun to see where it goes. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because I consult my clients a lot about consumer loyalty and brand loyalty. And it's kind of hard to to explain it to them. But this generation, Gen Z, longs for intimacy, like trust and loyalty. And so when they say, like, how can we get consumer loyalty? I'm like, well, how can they get yours? They want to know that, like, you're telling them the truth, that you know, they have this actual connection with you. They've been doing this since they can remember. Those old tricks that worked on us don't work on them. They see right through it. Yeah. And so the idea of what engagement meant, you know, in 2020 or 2024 even, is going to change dramatically. And I think you're exactly right about the taste versus style. Mm-hmm. You can have a creator that is wildly popular and he just might rub me the wrong way. I just don't like him. That's the taste versus the style. Same style photography, or, you know, camera work, same style, everything else, but not like his taste.
Yeah. I hope when I'm optimistic that it is going to bring together this combination of, this is what I say and this is what I do, like this is my business practice. And so I'm sustainable and ethical, if that matters to the audience that I'm putting stuff out there for, because we can find it out. You know, I remember the Audi ad a few years ago where it was this beautifully shot ad about a girl competing in a go-kart competition. She wins, and it was like, you know, hoorah, and people posted it directly next to the Audi board of directors, who were all middle-aged white men, and they were like, hey, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how we continue to connect those dots, especially this younger generation connects those dots. It says, these are things that are meaningful. This is where I'm going to spend my money and my time and what is interesting to me.
Let me ask you something, man. I want to talk about how old you are, because I think that's important.
How dare you, sir?
Really old.
Really old. Yeah, you got to get in close when you say it so they can see the pores. No, what I like, I mean, you and I shared some the early days of the World Wide Web. Like we've been through, like you and I were together going through kind of the evolution of that. I would love to just hear from you, just kind of compare and contrast what that was like and what you're seeing now with AI. Just what is it? What feels the same? What feels different? Like, where do you think we are in the process? I'm just curious to hear your POV on historical context.
It's a great question. I think the things that are the same are the sense that nobody knows. And, you know, the early days of the web and the magic of the creative directors at agency when we were there was this idea that, like, we can all see the pieces. Everyone can see what the pieces are. And so it's just, can you bring your brain and solve this problem more quickly or in a more interesting way? Because there is an enormous universe. That's right. And so that was really fun. That, like, speed of problem solving and imaginative play and sort of lateral thinking, it brings out this sense of possibility, which is great. I think the biggest, so that's the same. I think the biggest difference is, in the early days of the internet, there was a sense that there was an endpoint that we were all working towards, which was, you know, a community and shared knowledge. And what happens when, you know, everybody knows everything and everyone can be connected? There will be some great utopia that comes out of that. It's going to be awesome. And so this idea that, like, I'm online, I'm finding these communities of people I never knew existed, we're sharing all this stuff, that wave of early internet up into the kind of social era, I think, had an optimism to it, because we felt like we were building something. The challenge of AI, I feel like, is no one has said clearly, like, here's what it's for. You know, here's the, like, live, laugh, love. What's going to make us more human? What is all the efficiency for? Well, right now, the efficiency is for the, you know, the wealthy who have no skills to accumulate the wealth of the people who have skills and no wealth. Right? There's this separation happening, and presumably there's good, and it'll settle out. And we had these same arguments in the Industrial Revolution. But as I look at the dynamics, nobody is saying, like, here's why we're doing all this. After all the data centers are built and the models are great, then what? Then are we going to have leisure? Then are we going to have more humanity? Are we going to paint more pictures? Well, AI is going to paint my pictures. You know, where does it get us to? And without that, there's a darkness that I worry about. I'm an incredibly optimistic person, but there's a consumptive darkness in it that doesn't feel the same. It doesn't have that same, you know, We're racing, and I don't know what we're racing towards, and there's no sign of the race stopping or slowing. And amazing things are coming out of it. Amazing things, really cool things. I inherited a pen collection from my uncle who passed away, and I had no idea it existed. I don't know, 100 or so pens, and I just took pictures and I fed it into Gemini. And I got this incredible, industrial history of each of these pens and the value of them and why they were interesting or important, or which ones were rare, or how to recover them. And it was just, it opened up this whole dimension of my uncle and all these online communities. It was fantastic, like really, amazing. Mm-hmm. So I hope that we have that curiosity and discovery and wonder and the ability to have lives work. The ability to have dignity and curiosity and growth and safety. You made the point earlier, Kyle, a lot of people are going to become entrepreneurs, many involuntarily. That's going to be really hard. I know we're going to need a better safety net than we have, and a different kind of social compact. And I don't see those foundations emerging right now. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's different. I hope it does become more utopian, but it's different from the early days of the web in that way.
It's funny, Ben, as you were talking there, there's a thing that ties this to what you and Kelly were talking about with the personal storytelling and the brand building, because I've witnessed this a lot within the AI salon, is that the outputs, like making reports, doing things, making videos, like that feels like that's getting commoditized really quickly. But I'm seeing people using AI to discover histories, to basically discover stories. Like those pens, those objects, just as eBay research is, somewhat interesting, and you can put that out there. But it was your uncle, right? And so it's your ability to tell his story, and like maybe you connect something you heard when you were a kid to one of those pens, and all of a sudden it brings it together. And Kelly, you with your experience, being deep inside Nestle, and now you're out and you're like, hey, I just realized I'm actually passionate about that. There's something for me with AI that we get to tap into the collective intelligence of those that came before us. And maybe this authenticity thing, maybe the real value is the humans that get to connect that ephemeral data of AI to actual stories that we can connect on. I don't know. I mean, that felt optimistic to me. Your story of your uncle's pens felt like that future we used to talk about at agency, about the future of the web.
I'll tell you a thing I saw today, which manifested a side of AI that I thought was incredible. This was from 𝗕𝗲 𝗃𝗲, which is an agency in Japan, and they made a radio, looked like an old-fashioned radio, and you tune it to a year, so 1920, 1924.
That's so good.
And it's for old age homes where people are experiencing dementia and have like buried memories, and they're still present there, but they can't really access them, and so they're having memory trouble. So they become much less engaged in the world, and they can tune the radio to their childhood, historical events, and it's an AI sort of newscast and songs, music, events from that year, and suddenly these buried memories are brought back, and you can see them light up, and you can see them engage, and you can see them excited because they remember, the princess did this, or there was a parade then, or I thought it was fantastic, beautiful, really beautiful.
How cool to do if like people who aren't suffering, they're not there yet, they're not in some of these assisted living homes. Like, for instance, my father, if I were to set him up with ChatGPT and a microphone and said, Dad, just talk about your life, just tell ChatGPT your stories, and let it categorize it for you, and blah blah blah. Think about then and plugging that year radio in with everything else, and it could tell him back sort of his story if he was suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, something like that. Down the line,
Brilliant. That's really good. What haven't we covered? What should we have asked you?
I think the interesting question for me is a little bit about how an individual keeps up, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think as I look at AI right now, I see two things happening for everybody. One, what I call secret cyborgs. Like a secret cyborg, I'm making myself better at me, and I don't want to share too much of that because it's creating a little bit of oxygen in space, and I'm better at what I do. And so I think a lot of us are secret cyborgs with our AI. And then there's faster horses, right? I'm doing the same old thing that I used to do. I can make a beautiful car ad or a perfume ad. I just don't have to hire a crew and shoot it. So an old thing in a new way. I think what's interesting is the unknown unknowns, right? What's not secret cyborg, faster horse? Like, what's the next set of stuff? And then how do we get there? And the thing I struggle with, I assume you guys struggle with too, new tools come out all the time. And so how do you decide when you go deep and I'm going to learn these tools and make enough things with them? Then there's a new iteration or there's a new model and I got to reset, and the things that I learned before aren't good. I struggle with this with Midjourney, frankly. Like I do 3 months and I deepen, I can make all kinds of cool stuff, and then I get tailed off on something else and I come back and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. What happened to CREFs? How do I make a thing? What can I make? And so figuring out when you go in deep, you stabilize your skill set, you're able to make a thing, and then when you have to disengage and say like, okay, the models have evolved far enough, I got to do something else. I don't know. How do you guys keep up?
I've actually stopped at this point. I thought this was a beautiful comment about you being a secret sideboard.
it's kind of a Narnia thing. It's kind of a Narnia thing. Secret
exactly.
Sideboard.
What's happening in the AI salon is I mentioned before this thing of the AI salon mastermind practice. So we created a framework for people to create a daily practice around how they do AI. And so we meet weekly within the mastermind to basically talk about daily practices and things like that. And to a person, people came in there with kind of high anxiety about how do I keep up? How do I keep up? You were talking about it earlier, Kelly. And what's happening is people are sort of putting in daily practices, which is really just becoming about taste and being more intentional and asking questions like, what do I actually want? What's happening is, to a person, everyone's slowing down. And like Kevin Clark discovered pens and paper again. So every morning now he writes for an hour. Cindy Kuhn cleaned out her art studio, which had been sitting for years unused, and she organized it. Now she's doing watercolors and paintings and illustration and spending time in nature. So like one of the clear trends in the AI salon is people have given up on trying to keep up, and they're just getting much more intentional about who they are and what they want to do in the world. And then through that filter, they can say, okay, what AI things are out there that can support that? That to me feels like the only sane way to do it. So with that, we've got 3 minutes left. We always ask our guests the same question. So I'm going to ask it to you. There's no wrong answer, but I might make fun of you if it's not great. And the question is this: what does AI readiness mean to you? And then what would you say to someone just getting started with all this stuff?
And do you like Skittles?
And
do I like Skittles? Do I like Skittles? Taste the rainbow. How can you not like Skittles? Skittles has run the 𝗕𝗲 ad for a decade. And every time they bring in a new ad, they run it against 𝗕𝗲, and 𝗕𝗲 sells Skittles every time. So it doesn't need to be a new thing; it just needs to be a good thing. 𝗕𝗲. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. What does AI readiness mean to me? It means a combination of curiosity and application. So, or am I continuing to engage, and am I keeping my skills ready to engage, whatever that is? So is it shifting from prompts and then prompt engineering into vibe coding, if that's important to me? Am I ready to re-meet the interface, that AI readiness? And what do I say to people who are thinking about how to do it? You have to make stuff. Like, we've got to make stuff. We had a client ask for a project from us, a consulting project from us, and it wasn't really core to what we do. And I thought, this is going to be an opportunity for me to, refresh my skills. And so I said, I'll do this for free. And I'm going to, do a notebook LM project. I'm going to figure out how to refilter all the research that I need and plug it in. And, it should be a few hours, probably going to be more as I learn how to do it, but good for the client, good for me, not core to my business, refresh the skill set. So make stuff.
I love it. That's great. Final words, Chef Kelly. What do you think? Final words for Ben?
Final words for Ben. What do I have? No, I think you're doing really great work, and you made a lot of sense about just ways to keep the customer engaged, and keep things authentic. And I think that we've turned that corner in advertising. And as far as I can see in the CPG world, at least, we are entering an age of consumer is king. And I think that the sooner some of these legacy brands who kind of got away with the shell game for so many years recognize that, I think that it'll be an easier, game for them. So, but thank you. I mean, you have been amazing, and your insight is gold. So thank you.
He's pretty cool, this Ben Jones. I like him. I think we'll keep him. Ben, it is great to see you. It's been too long. We need to catch up more, but thank you for doing this. Thank you for joining us, and it's awesome. And good luck with Sundogs, and congrats on having your own thing, man. Good luck with the fundraising and keeping the customers happy and doing the thing.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Come join me in the secret sideboard anytime you want. All you have to do is open it up in the secret sideboard.
The secret sideboard is where we keep the Skittles.
That's right.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.